better than in the United States.
Oh,
I
it's
saw
so
this
much
on
better.
on social media a couple of times, and it's a funny joke, and I do appreciate the fact that people that people really get into that, because you see the flares, you see the choreographed celebrations. I talked about my buddy Thiago da Silva, and not even necessarily Europe. I guess you could say South America too. And he was showing me videos of the professional team that they had from where he was in Brazil. He's a soccer player at Bethel, but he grew up in Brazil, and he showed me videos of the team that they have there and what the supporter section does. And again, they choreograph celebrations, they have flares, they have different things that they do. It is constantly on your feet, it is constantly jumping around, there are no distractions, they're always watching the game, they're always singing. It's the game itself is why people are there. And like I talked about with you before, like my experience of going to that rugby match, even in Chicago, a lot of people that were there were not from the United States, and you could tell that the entire focus was on what was on the field. Yeah, of course there was food and drink, but you didn't have carnival rides, you didn't have everything else going on outside of the experience. The experience was the game. It was what was in front of you. And so there's a different level of passion, there's a different level of energy. But before I kind of dive into this and dissect this, I'm curious to hear what you have to say about it, Ryan, because I would agree in some senses, but not in every sense. And I'll get into that here in a second. But what says you about this?
They're just better. European fans are more passionate about their teams. They're more passionate about their sports than American fans are, and that is just a fact. And if you have an issue with it, I don't care. Like when you have NBA media heads going to European basketball games, and they come out after the game, they're like, "Wow, that's the greatest basketball atmosphere I've ever been in." And they have done Game Sevens of NBA Finals, and they have done national
Yep.
championships in college basketball, which again is still the stupidest thing. The Final Four is the stupidest venue in all of American sports. I
Yeah.
digress. But no, they're just better. Are they crazier? Yes. Are do they? Is it
They
just an
drink a little
overall
bit more.
Huh?
They drink a little bit more, probably.
Probably not. I mean, look at football Sundays and football Saturdays. No, it's I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't go that far, but it's just better. And the reason I brought this up was I literally watched a regular season Scottish Premiership game with Celtic versus whatever one of the worst teams in the league was, and Celtic needed 3 points, and they get it in the 90 plus sixth minute or something, and the players just go run into the stands with the fans, and the whole place just goes bonanzas, and it's unbelievable. There's a Hail Mary in football in the NFL, and it's just like that's it. Like no one rushes the field, they don't jump into the stands. It's just oh my gosh, yeah, we just want a Hail Mary, all this fun stuff. Yeah, for sure. But like, there's no excitement. There's no yeah, I shouldn't say there's no excitement, but I think the fans are way more passionate. The flares, you could say it's dangerous or not, but that is just an overall better atmosphere. And when you go to an American sporting event, you're there to just be there and to post on your Instagram story. Oh, I was at the game. You're there for everything else, and you're not like sometimes you're not glued in to the game. I was at a top 5 Michigan versus Nebraska basketball matchup, and it was loud once after like 10 minutes into the game, and once we get into the second half, it got loud. But it was quiet for the most part, and the people around me while the game's going on, it's like, oh my God, did you see this photo on Facebook? Did you see so and so post this? Oh my God, that's unbelievable. Guys, there's a top 5 basketball matchup in front of you. This could help decide the Big Ten championship. But no, we're too busy about,
Yeah.
oh my God, we're on Facebook. Did you see what little Susie's doing right now? It's her birthday. No, it's stupid. American sporting atmospheres suck compared to a damn European soccer game or European basketball because they're there. They live and die with their teams. Some people live and die with their teams in America, but a good chunk don't. They are there they're there for all the extra stuff rather than just cheering on their team. There's no crazy chance. Like if I was a U.S. hockey fan yesterday, I would sit there and be like, 2 world wars. I'd chant that the whole way. I'd chant 2 world wars to Germany. But you know what? No one did. Because U.S., they don't have any chance. They don't do anything cool like that. No. American soccer,
Yeah.
or American fans in general, I'm talking college football, I'm talking college basketball, I'm talking NFL, NBA, everything else. it is nowhere near European.
Yeah, the thing that always surprises me when I love watching reaction videos, especially with Europeans watching American sports with certain venues and certain things that are going on. And the the thing that makes it hard for me when I look at this conversation, and I do think you're right in a lot of ways, a ton of ways, more ways than one. And when you compare the professional experiences of both sides, I would absolutely agree with you. I think a lot of that doesn't necessarily have to do with, yeah, as Americans, we might be a little overweight, a little short attention spans. So sometimes it makes it hard for people to be locked into sporting events for forever. But what I'll say more than that is I feel like in a lot of venues, if we're comparing again pro to pro, right, not including college in this conversation quite yet, I feel like a lot of the passionate fans, the people who might be the ones who would want to support to the level that is and bring the energy and be loud and watch the game, because even people, a lot of people have said this, especially those who didn't grow up in the social media generation, that American fans and American crowds used to be a lot different. And I think it's because we've gotten into this age to where we're all just so distracted now, to where it's just not as much energy. But you've also priced a lot of people out of being able to go to a lot of games
Ticket
throughout the
prices are
course
still
of
a
the year.
big issue over there.
Okay, I get it, but you can't really compare economic situations, so that's something that's really hard. Is I do think there is a crop of passionate fans. I know people that watch every single game, follow every single thing. They're just as intense as you or I are, but they can't afford to go consistently. So I think that's another thing. But the other thing that I think is interesting to consider is they don't have like college athletics. Maybe they do, but it's not. It's either club or it's pro in Europe. They
Well,
don't
club
have
is
this
pro.
high school, right? Okay, so they don't really have college athletics, right? So you don't really have the same pipeline that you do in the United States of high school to college to pro. So everybody is wrapped up in their professional team, because even if you look in the South in the United States, like they don't care about pros all that much. They care so much about their colleges. Like if you go to a baseball game in the South in the summer, like Coastal Carolina and Clemson, people will drive from all over Timbuktu to come see the game. I mean, it will be overflowing, and there'll be chants, and it'll be loud, and this is a baseball game. But the reason why is because that's really all they have. I mean, you have Atlanta, sure, but like, why do I care about Atlanta if I live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina? So I think when you
Well,
talk
the
about the
Georgia
dynamics
Bulldogs are
of,
in Georgia, and Atlanta's in that.
well,
They're nut
true,
jobs.
but like, exactly, and look at their
Michigan
game
fans aren't
days,
nut
and
jobs.
look at,
They got all 4 pro teams here. Michigan State's
well,
not nut jobs.
they
Ohio
are
State's
nut
not.
jobs. But what I'm saying is you only have really the pro teams that you're cheering for in Europe. So everybody is wrapped up in what is the pro side doing. You don't have college, you don't really have the high school, or as big as that is. And so when these Europeans watch the videos of, like, let's say like Enter Sandman or Virginia Tech walking into their stadium, they're like, this is college? Like, all of these people screaming, jumping, music blaring, like this is college athletics?
It's
I
not
mean,
pro
SEC
athletics.
game days, like entire cities shut down in Texas, entire towns shut down for high school football.
They
So
have
I,
pro
I
teams in
think
Texas.
college, I would argue, you might be off a little bit there. Now, a general NBA Wednesday night game where the Magic are taking on the Suns, yeah, it's going to be lame. There's not going to be people jumping around. It's going to be music while they're playing. It's going to sound like the YMCA. And the truth is like, if you sit close enough to the court, like, you're going to hear everything. That's why courtside tickets are awesome in the NBA, because no, like, you're going to hear every squeaker sneak. You're going to hear everything. College, I would push back a little bit on this, far and away, no doubt about it. It's
It
all
still
better,
is
because
over college.
it might be
100%.
across the board. It might be, but I don't know, man. I think there are certain matchups and venues and in areas of the country where I would challenge that belief. I would challenge that belief a little bit, where it's not as clear cut, in my opinion.
Then why have American media outlets said the only thing that somewhat comes close to European soccer, European sports is some college football venues. Not all. Like, yeah, college athletics is the most passionate stuff here in America, but it still doesn't come close to anything that Europe does. Not a chance. Doesn't come close at
Mm.
all. And to your point of, these states don't have this, these states don't have pro teams. Michigan's got 4. Michigan and Michigan State fans are nut jobs. Ohio's got 5 or 6 pro teams. They're nut jobs. You go over to what's the Pennsylvania, Penn State. Isn't that Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh's all in that. Penn State fans are.
But you're saying they're not as passionate as European fans. That's the point that that's the point that you're making.
The atmospheres are better. The atmospheres, and that goes with passion. It's 1,000% better than, because if we're being honest, if I'm an Ohio State fan and Michigan comes into town this year, which they do, if that's Europe, you bet your ass there's a ton of Sharon Moore chants going on. You bet your ass there is, but there won't, because they don't do that. If that's in Europe, all that stuff's going on. You have the owners of certain teams have like a little issue, and all of a sudden the opposing fans go in on it with chants. Happens all the time. Have we heard about the Kitty family? Has anyone heard about that? I mean, I can't say what that chant is, but you can go search that one up on your own about the Kitty family. They'll search that one up for you. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, if I'm on Ohio, if I'm any opposing fan, I'm making a Sharon Moore chant, but they won't. They won't do it. They're not clever enough to do that. They don't do that. Yeah, they're very passionate about their schools and everything, but that doesn't come. That is nowhere near anything that happens in Europe. Not a chance. And I will say this about the American fan, because European fans have said this, and when they come to America to watch their soccer teams in the tours or whatever, they're like, or they've actually gone to the Boston Garden too to watch Celtics playoff basketball, and they go, yeah, everything, all their chants and everything, it's like programmed. We come up with our own stuff. Defense, like that happens. Like, yeah, every once in a while you see the free throw line, they might hear something. You might hear something snarky, but outside of that, everything is programmed in order. The music that comes in, Seven Nation Army, that's all programmed. No one comes up with that on their own. Kansas was the only one that I've actually seen come up with their stuff on their own last week against Arizona. That's the only time. U.S. fans in general, it's all programmed stuff. They don't come up with anything on their own. Whatever the mic tells them to do, whatever the PA says, or whatever the music tells you to do, that's what they do. They don't come up with their own stuff. You go over to Europe, the PA announcer just does his job. He doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't have to say defense. It's third down. Like, everything's programmed in America. It's not in Europe. Just go out there and you just start throwing F-bombs left and right, and you start doing all these other stuff left and right. Like, it just happens. And that's why away section fans have to be escorted in to their proper section in the corner, because of what can happen if they intertwine with each other on a match day and after a couple drinks.
Yeah, it's wild for sure. And I do think fan engagement has changed in the United States quite a bit over the years too. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that, but no, I agree that they are passionate, and for the majority, for the most part, you are correct. You are correct. I'm just saying, I think there's certain places where there's a little bit of pushback with that. And the truth is like, I can't speak on all of it just simply because I haven't been there. I've only seen what I've seen on TV. I think about like a Penn State whiteout, like, it looks sick. It sounds loud. I mean, the truth is that, like literally you can't hear anything, in an environment like that. I mean, I knew someone who went to like the first Michigan night game against Notre Dame, and he's like, you could not hear anything. It was the loudest environment he's ever been in his life. And so I need to be in some of these environments to really understand it. But trust me, like the charging the field, the riots, all that stuff, it just doesn't, you're right, that stuff doesn't happen. But also those rivalries go a lot deeper too, especially on the international side, and those club rivalries go a lot deeper because they've been around for that much longer.
College football rivalries are the same age as a majority of those. And I will also say this, I forgot to mention this because this is the soccer portion. The U.S. soccer they have their little student section leaders at the bottom. We get clowned on that all the time because we need a leader. This also goes back into my programming point. We need a leader to promote all these chants and to do all these chants. We get clowned for that on a daily basis, and you bet your ass we're gonna get clowned for that when the World Cup comes around, because they're gonna see, everyone is gonna see it on display. They're like, "What the heck is all of this?" It's
What's
a clown
going
show
on?
when you have to have here we go, U.S. Here we go. Like, that's like, no, you don't. If you need 3 grown men at the bottom doing a megaphone to these people to get people going on chants, I mean, that's just lame, my man. Or what's my favorite one? The Seattle one. Fight and win for Seattle. We look like cornballs when we do that. You go to Europe and it is just F this, F that right when you get there. You know? And then the fans go back and forth with chants. You don't need someone at the bottom with a megaphone. Yeah, you might have a couple people just banging a drum. Like, that's just kind of how it goes. Everyone just bangs drums. But you don't have people at the bottom as a student section leader. The U.S. fan, it's not soccer, the U.S. sports fan in general is programmed to do everything. You have to, whatever the student section leader says, we have to do that. Or whatever the PA mic says, we have to do that. No. You go to Europe, it's F this, F that. And if you have a slight scandal, if that Sharon Moore thing happens, there's some snarky chant that goes on, and you better have thick skin about it.
They can swear on air in Germany.
They can? That makes sense.
Yeah, you can.